Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 3 and episode number 251 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. Yeah. Today, recording day, is Tuesday, November 14th. Ooh, lots of jazz hands going on there at Mr. Grizzly's end there. And it is going to be an absolutely really gorgeous day here at the Beaver Lodge with some clouds in the sky and a little bit of wind, but still looks like it's going to be a lovely day. Perfect for the fall. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, and with me as always is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. A big thank you goes to our podcast's founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. We have a little nibble for you today, but before we do anything else, let's do the most important thing we do here every day at the Beaver Lodge. And that's say hello to you, Mr. Grizzly, and ask how's your mental health doing today, sir?
Good morning, Mr. Beaver. I am rested. I wouldn't say well rested, but definitely rested. And I'm better this morning. I was dark last night, man. When I don't get enough sleep, that's what happens. All the mental health issues creep in. I was in bed at 8 o'clock last night and slept right through till 4 a.m. I woke up and realized the time and went, nope, and went back to sleep and then got up at 5 and here we are.
Oh, I envy you.
Well, I had to suffer a lot. You know, like yesterday was terrible and whatever, you know. But feeling better this morning, so hopefully today will be a very good day. I have a strange little footnote to give you here.
Sure.
I'm just looking at the podcast rankings for my jazz show, which is never on a chart anywhere because it's jazz. The audience isn't that big. But on Friday, I was ranked 105 out of the top 200 in India.
Again, India.
Thanks.
Thank you. Happy Diwali. Belated.
I don't know how that's happening, but you know,
well,
anyway,
people were sharing light. I
guess.
The reason I say I'm envious of you is that I seem to be on this cycle where I'm going to bed earlier and earlier and earlier and waking up earlier and earlier and earlier, but still getting the same amount of sleep. So, yes, yesterday, I think it was like 3 or 4, I had woken up. And so this morning yesterday at like 9 o'clock, I was ready for bed. I toughed it out a little bit till like close to 10 because I'm trying to get back on a regular schedule. And Sure
Right.
enough, 2:45 up. So right
Yeah.
now it's 7:15 in the morning, but it's lunchtime for me.
Yeah, I've been there, done that. Last week I had a day where I woke up at 2 a.m., did not get back to sleep. So I'm in the office, it's like 10 a.m., and I'm like, I just, my day should be done now. They're like, oh my goodness.
I know. Because
And I got hours to go.
I've got a curling match at 9:20 tonight.
Oh, that's not going to be fun.
Oh, I do
That
not
won't be fun.
know. Oh,
No, it's not going to be fun.
yeah. But Eager Beaver Lodge curling report. Bum, 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 bum. Do, 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 do. This just in. My men's senior team had a convincing victory yesterday, 8-1. And even though there's one game left, we cannot be caught. We have a lock on at
So
second, so we're going up a division. Because even if we lose next week and the team below us wins, we're tied in the points. But last week we beat them, so we win the head-to-head. And we did it with one hand tied behind our back because we had to forfeit our first game. Not bad. Not bad for a new team. I really like my new team. They're a really good bunch of guys. Drama-free. It's just so much fun. Just like my Tuesday night team too, actually. All my teams are actually drama-free, which is kind of nice. Because that hasn't always been the case. So I love it. All right, kids. The news, the big news, is that it's election day in Northwest Territories. So,
this is true.
yes, plan your vote. Make sure you don't go vote alone because, as we keep on saying on the show, friends do not let friends do democracy alone. And let's see what it is. This election, of course, has been delayed. It's rescheduled because it was supposed to be held on October 3rd originally, but got pushed back due to all the wildfires. Everybody that was part of the government had met in Inuvik during the forest fires to be able to pass a couple of resolutions and stuff. And one of the ones that they did was to make sure that um, that the elections were delayed so that everybody could participate because there might have still been people displaced from their homes during the campaign period that would have ended in an election date on October 3rd. So it was the territorial chief election officer, Stephen Dunbar, who had proposed that. And I guess the members of the government had agreed. Um, on September 28th, incumbent Premier Carolyn Cochrane announced that she would not seek re-election, which means with the defeat of Heather Stephenson, we have no female premiers at the moment anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
She's still the premier until the election. But
Right.
there's a female candidate that wins, and then when they decide who will be the premier, because there it's a different set of government. It's more of a consensus government system where all the MLAs sit as independents and they're not organized into political parties. So everyone gets elected, and then among the 19, they choose who's going to be the premier. So that's how it works up in the Northwest Territories. So yes, after the 14th, unless it is a female new member-elect that gets named premier, there will be no women premiers in Canada. I remember a time a few years ago when there was like 3 or 4 all at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's amazing how it just comes and goes. There will be 19 members elected to the Legislative Assembly. And when we're talking about gender parity, it's been really interesting in the Northwest Territories because that's kind of come along as well. They've had elections in 2003, 2007, 2012, 2015, 2019. And up until 2019, it's always been 17 or 16 men and 2 or 3 women.
Mm-hmm.
In 2019, it was 10 men, 9 women. Something happened in that election. So we'll see what happens this year. There are a total of 56 candidates running this year. There's 23 women or gender diverse candidates running. So the percentage of women or gender diverse candidates on the ballot this year is about 41.1%. Which, if you consider that in 2015, 17 men and 2 women were elected, I probably would guess that the percentage of women or gender diverse candidates was way lower than 41.1% at the time. So whoever has been doing the work out in the territory to get women and gender diverse candidates to run for office, congratulations, because you have been doing some very good work and the results are showing. Now, let's see what else we have here about the territories. There are 16 seats that are contested because 3 candidates have been acclaimed. So in the electoral district of Cam Lake, Caitlin Cleveland is already acclaimed. In the district of Monfouy, Jane Wayellen Armstrong is already acclaimed. And in the district of Yellowknife South, Caroline Wozniak is acclaimed. So 3 women already acclaimed. Not bad. Not bad, not bad. And I'm seeing in certain districts, there are only women running. Like, for example, Inuvik Twin Lakes that has Lenore McLeod and Lisa Semler. So there'll definitely be more than 3. Let's see if we get close to gender parity again this time. Yes, make sure that you get out and vote. I'm just looking at some of the articles I have here. There are some interviews with Lenore McLeod, for example. A good site is to go for this is cabinradio.ca. If you happen to be there, they will be doing some live coverage broadcasting tonight of the election results coming in. So it'll be a good place to check in, and they have interviews with candidates that people can read. So to find out more about the candidates and who they have. So right now, like today, they have interviews with Inuvik Lake candidates, Denny Rogers and Sally Ross. And as we mentioned, Lenore McLeod. And Yahoo News has one with Richard Ross Jr. Mackenzie. So lots of stuff to find out. And, you get to learn more about the candidates and think about, find out what they think are the major issues. So, for example, for candidate Richard Ross, housing is a big issue. He basically says it's always a big issue, and health is another one. Quote, a regional health center, I've also been hearing. All those things tie into each other. We don't have a stable foundation with housing. You may fall off the least side. Try and make a healthier lifestyle for our people. I've been raised to always help people when we can. And when asked how he will advocate for improved housing, he says, even living in Inuvik, we've got some old housing that's probably older than I am. We need to start looking at some energy efficient housing, smaller housing for singles, or another one too would be working hand in hand with the on the land programs. Once we get some of these people out there, that's where a lot of them were brought up. They don't need to be told what to do. Everything just kicks in, and that's where a lot of them enjoy their time as well, on the land. Even small housing would help people out there. That's where they become healthy. So housing, it's like I said, that's probably the biggest one. I would say housing and health, and I'm guessing that there'll probably be some issues with regard to management of natural disasters, given that and management of the forest area in there, given what's happened this summer, because Northwest Territories got hit very hard. I mean, the entire territory nearly evacuated. So a big deal over there. Let's see, what else do I have? That's about all I have for that for the moment. And of course, we hope to bring you news tomorrow on the results so that we can celebrate democracy being done. All right, kids.
I have something to share with you from the Doug Ford government.
Yes,
this
please.
Is from the CBC. Oh, the CBC. Oh my God, it's from the CBC. Doug Ford government paying for-profit clinic more than hospitals for OHIP-covered surgeries. Discrepancies raise questions about plans to do more surgeries outside of Ontario's public hospitals. Premier Doug Ford's government gives a for-profit clinic more funding to perform certain OHIP-covered surgeries than it gives Ontario public hospitals to perform the same operations, CBC News has learned.
Does the article give any idea as to why he's paying them more? This just sounds
I'll get to that in
ridiculous.
just a
I
second.
mean, we're paying them
Yeah,
more to do hospitals, and then we like contract the nurses from companies because who we pay more. And so if it's supposed to be,
through a Freedom of Information request, CBC News obtained documents that reveal those funding rates for the first time. And those funding rates, Ontario's government has never before made public the rates it pays to a private clinic in Toronto to perform thousands of outpatient day surgeries each year. 4 senior officials who work in different parts of Ontario's hospital system reviewed the documents, and all 4 say the rates being paid to the privately owned Don Mills Surgical Unit Limited are noticeably higher than what the province provides public hospitals for the same procedures. That discrepancy raises questions about the government's imminent plans to expand the volume and scope of surgeries performed outside of hospitals, including the potentially lucrative field of hip and knee replacements.
wow. Yeah, because he's been selling this, right? Saying it's going to be, more cost efficient and all that kind of stuff. But if they're
It's
paying
not.
more for the
It's not.
contracting services and then they're paying more, how are we supposed to get more health care with the same money if they're paying more for it? Each individual.
Exactly.
It's like, again, cons can't math. According to
No.
this article by Mark Crawley, says the documents show Provincial Agency of Ontario Health contracted Don Mills Surgical Unit Limited at the following per surgery funding rates in each of the 3 fiscal years starting from 2020-2021. $1,264 for each procedure classed as a minor complexity, such as cataract surgery, $4,037 for each moderate complexity surgery, such as a laparoscopic gallbladder removal, and $5,408 for each higher complexity surgery, such as replacing a large tear replacing a large tear of a rotator cuff. The funding rates do not include how much the surgeon bills OHIP for each operation. So these are
I've got
fees outside the surgeon's fees.
Let me just show you a graphic here.
Wow.
Surgery type, cataracts, Don Mills Surgical Unit Limited, $1,264. Public hospitals, $508.
It's more than 100%.
Yeah. Knee arthroscopic or meniscus repair, $4,037. Don Mills Surgical Unit. Public hospitals, $1,273 to $1,692.
So why not?
That's also tax dollar. That's OHIP is paying for that. That's our money.
So why not just take our public hospitals whose operating rooms typically don't run 24 hours a day? I mean, yes, the emergency room one, when stuff happens, and just run surgeries 24 hours a day at our regular prices.
Documents obtained through a Freedom of Information request show the province provides Don Mills Surgical Unit $1,264 for each cataract removal. Hospitals are funded $508 per surgery. The nonprofit Kensington Eye Institute says it receives $672.
Oh. So what is it? Okay, so that one receives $672, but Don Mills gets
It's
$1,264.
$1,264.
My first question, given that we are talking about dumbass Dougie Donuts, and it seems that every deal he signs seems to include a cut for someone, who owns the Don Mills Surgical Unit Limited, and were they also at the Stag and Doe?
This is the thing. How much you want to bet?
CBC News asked alleged Ontario Health Minister Sylvia Jones if she could commit that surgeries performed in private clinics under the government's expansion plans will not cost the province more than in hospitals. Quote, "What I can commit to," okay. When they start that, "Can you commit this?" And then they go, "What I can commit to?" Then the answer is no.
Yeah.
What I can commit to is that regardless of where you get your surgery, you are being treated and assessed and having access to licensed regulated healthcare professionals, the same physicians, doctors, anesthetists who are practicing in our hospital system, she said. That wasn't the question.
So, Don Mills Surgical Unit is part of the ClearPoint Health Network, the largest chain of private surgical clinics in Canada. ClearPoint is wholly owned by the $1.5 billion private equity firm Kensington Capital Partners Limited, which launched the chain through a $35 million purchase of clinics in Ontario, Manitoba, Alberta, and BC in 2019.
2019.
Yes, so Toronto, November 26, 2019, Kensington Capital Partners, Kensington, is pleased to announce that the Kensington Private Equity Fund has acquired the surgical division of Centric Health Corporation. The surgical business will be wholly owned by a new wholly let me try that again. The surgical business will be wholly owned by a newly formed entity called ClearPoint Health Network. ClearPoint is the largest independent. We're focused on delivering high quality patient care and looking to build meaningful relationships and partnerships in the healthcare community. Kensington is a leading independent Canadian investor in alternative assets, founded in 1996 with over $1.5 billion invested in private equity, venture capital, and alternative assets. Kensington's active management approach and relationship-based business has generated top quartile returns for investors. For more information about Kensington, please visit. I'll put the link in the chat. It's their website. Anybody want to do some more investigating into this?
Advisory board of Kensington has Sean Elward, sold as a tax partner in Osler, Hoskin, and Harcourt as a private investor in several companies. Conan served as director of the Riverfront Medical Services. We got Gregory J. Cochrane, marketing, sales, and operating background, chief executive officer of Data Communications Management Corp.
It's for profit. It's all for profit, and it's just really going to drag down millions of Canadians as they slowly privatize our healthcare. They're doing it right in front of us too. That's the thing. This is the problem. And I'm looking at their board of directors, or not their board of directors, but their team.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know who any of these people are.
Yep. I don't know any of the people that are on the board, but there doesn't seem to be anything. There's obvious political connections now, whether or not with the other businesses that they've run or founded, or
although the name Sean Elward rings a bell.
It does. Yeah, that one. I don't know why.
Co-owned and served as director of Riverfront Medical Service, at the time one of Canada's largest privately owned third-party medical assessment companies. He is currently a director of a privately held company that is involved in enterprises including specialty finance and lending, real estate, and developing and marketing products for the sporting industry that will lead to early detection of concussion. Graduated with a BA from the U of O in 1982, that's University of Ottawa. He obtained his LLB from Osgoode Hall Law School in 1985 and his LLM from the London School of Economics in 1988. Sean is a member of the Law Society of Upper Canada, the Canadian Bar Association, the Canadian Tax Foundation, and the International Fiscal Association. Well, I mean, he's educated for sure, but that name rings a bell.
Yeah. But now we're starting to see where there could be connections.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, Mike Crawley's on it, so I have a feeling that somebody's going to be digging.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And now I'm trying to look at ClearPoint, and
look at this.
Just
graphic.
Nothing there.
The Ontario Ministry of Health payments to Don Mills Surgical Unit. The province funds this for-profit clinic to do outpatient surgeries that are covered by OHIP. Its funding jumped after the COVID-19 pandemic began, when the government contracted it for additional surgeries. So 1.32 million, 1.32 million from 1.3 and 1. It was always 1.32 million from 2016 to 2020. 2020 to 2021, 3.32 million. 21 to 22, 4.98, and 22 to 23, and 23 is not over yet. 5.27 million. So it had an even split, 1.32 million for 4 years. And then it more than doubled.
Wow.
And now we're looking at tripling it, quadrupling it, actually.
And I'm on because you said, Kensington then passed this on to ClearPoint, and I'm on the ClearPoint Health Network, and unlike the Kensington, there's absolutely nothing about its people on the website. Nothing at all.
Well, it's like PNC Bio here. I must not be smart enough to follow conservative economics. It looks like we're spending more money.
Yes. Inflationary spending. Unnecessary. And again, these are choices because right now we have 5 premiers that have written a letter. Ooh. I'm in awe of the leadership to the prime minister so that they can have a meeting. Again, the
Mhm.
5 premiers want to talk to the management about removing the carbon tax on home heating. And Scott Moe, and now apparently it's not only like remove it in my province. No, remove it for everyone across Canada. So apparently Scott Moe thinks that he's speaking for all Canadians rather than just the people in his province. And he's not even speaking for all the people in his province because not all of them voted for him. But he takes the 5 provinces, takes the full population, says, we're speaking for more than half the population. No, you're not. You can't just take the population of all 5 provinces and say you speak for absolutely everyone in the provinces when you clearly don't. And you say, "Yep, I'm not. If you don't remove it for everyone across Canada, I am going to withhold the taxes," which is likely illegal. Mr. Moe, please don't be surprised if some of the members of the boards or the employees for those companies that you're ordering that you will be ordering to break the law happen to be a little insubordinate, because I'm not sure a lot of people will want to go to jail for you.
Well, also, if you get on the wrong side of the CRA,
Yeah.
they're not the IRS.
No.
Thank goodness, because you can deal with CRA. But if you get on the wrong side, they're just going to say, yeah, we're just taking the money. No, we're just taking it.
And they don't Kit Linda. You're Kit Linda M. You got exactly to where I was going. If the premiers would get off their asses and have their own carbon reduction plans, they wouldn't have to pay a carbon tax. Sorry, I feel like I need to tell you all that. Yeah, me too. Like this. And also, number one, as we kept on mentioning on the show, I'm a little tired of this. We permanently live at the Palm View Motel.
Yeah.
There are 13 other premiers in this country. All you conservative federals who are saying, Ottawa, you need to do something. All you premiers that say, oh, you need to do something. Premier Scott Slomo was actually on Twitter just a few days ago bragging about how Saskatchewan recorded 6% GDP growth. They're recording surpluses.
Yeah.
Incredible GDP growth. There's 14 budgets, federal, provincial, and territorial, and yet all of them think that all the help should come from just one of those envelopes. If your GDP, if you're bragging that your GDP has grown by 6%, if you've been bragging that you've got a $22 billion surplus, use some of your own damn money.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't you helping your people? Why is it always Ottawa? Why should it always be True Daddy that's dropping the money down? Do you believe it or not? Would you not help your people if Trudeau said, sorry, I don't have the funds? Would you let your residents freeze in the dark?
Probably. I mean, they're like,
That's why I half want Trudeau to turn around and say, you know what? I took it off home heating oil,
mhm,
and I'm basically giving people free heat pumps. And if this pilot
mhm.
project works, I'm going to be giving people free heat pumps coast to coast to coast. What are you doing?
Well, you need to do something about housing. Okay, we're going to build houses. No, that's a provincial responsibility.
Wait, whoa, whoa, whoa. Because when I said that housing was not a primarily federal responsibility a couple of months ago, you all took a strip off me like I had said something horrible. But now that the money's not flowing through you, all of a sudden, hey, wait a minute, this is our responsibility. Well, thank you for finally speaking the truth, but you're
Acknowledging,
still not
yeah.
getting your cut.
Well, you weren't doing a damn thing with it. I mean, and again, it's a provincial responsibility, but it's done at the municipal level, right? So he's like, well, you know what? Screw it. If the provinces aren't doing anything, I'm going straight to the municipalities and giving them the money
Skip the
and
middleman.
making this happen. Cut the middleman out because the middleman's taking his cut.
Yep.
I mean, Dougie's still missing $2 billion in COVID funds.
And then there's the $4
Because
billion he just kind of misplaced somewhere.
And how many billion in Alberta went missing?
Mhm.
How are people not in prison over this shit?
Why aren't people up in arms and protesting over this shit?
Well, this is what I don't understand. I don't get it. They're protesting all the wrong damn things. We're protesting for freedom. You have freedom, you stupid fucking idiot. Right now, you're getting robbed blind by conservative premiers coast to coast to coast. They're stealing your money, and you're still supporting them.
Yeah, they're stealing your money.
What
and you're
is
thanking
wrong
them
with
for it.
you?
I know. It's just. Now, of course, here in Ontario, they're saying, well, we have high patient satisfaction. So that, I guess, justifies funding fewer surgeries, but at higher cost.
Yeah. It seems to make sense to me.
I just.
Not at all. Conservative math. There's no justification for this that I can possibly think of, said Dr. Dick Zoutman, a former chief of staff at two major hospitals in the province, now a board member of the union-backed Ontario Health Coalition. The cost to the Ontario taxpayers are substantially more for exactly the same service. I think it's nonsense.
Yeah, it is. Oh, my words. The health minister's spokesperson says it's not possible to make an accurate comparison between the funding Ontario gives to an independent facility like DMSU and the funding given to hospital to provide the same procedures because hospitals also receive separate global operating budgets. Quote, community surgical and diagnostic centers receive one-time funds for procedures only and have to absorb any capital or operating costs. Yeah, they're for profit. Duh.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike hospitals. Yeah, because we also pay the capital costs, the taxpayer, the hospital. We pay both. It's like hospitals don't have to absorb any costs.
No. Hospitals
Taxpayers absorb the cost.
not for profit. Yeah.
This argument makes no sense. These centers may have higher costs for purchasing equipment or in some case having to rent equipment. Well, you know who already has the equipment? Our hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
why are we paying private businesses to buy equipment that we could buy ourselves and actually put in our own hospitals to have more of them in them?
Well, Dougie will brag about, well, we have a surplus this year in our budget. Then you failed.
They're literally saying, not only are we paying them for the procedures, we actually have to buy their equipment for them for which to do the procedure. No, I'm sorry. If you're a private business, if you don't come with your own equipment, you don't get the contract.
It's called Charles U. Farley.
What the hell is this thing?
Chuck U. Farley. Like, come on. This is horse shit. I'm tired of corporate welfare. I'm so sick of it. We've been doling out billions to the oil industry for decades. And what have we got in return? Abandoned, filthy, dirty oil wells all over the province of Alberta that have not been cleaned up, even though they were contractually bound to do so. They orphan them.
Yep.
They haven't shut them down. They orphan them,
them.
which means that technically they're still operational.
Yep. An unnamed senior hospital executive in the article is quoted, "I don't really understand the decision-making process the province used for setting these particular rates. There's no point in the government outsourcing surgeries for profit clinics if they can't perform surgeries more cost-effectively than hospitals can. You would be wasting taxpayers' dollars." Unbelievable. The government allocated $300 million across Ontario in 2022-23 to tackle the increased backlog of surgeries and diagnostic procedures driven by the pandemic, the bulk of which went to hospitals. Quote, "A single rate setting approach should be established for both public hospitals and private clinics offering the same clinical services," said Anthony Dale, president of the Ontario Hospital Association. The government's plan to increase the number of surgeries done outside hospitals includes adding hip and knee replacements to the list in 2024. The current per procedure funding for hospitals is about $8,100 for each knee replacement and $8,900 for each hip replacement. So, I don't know what they'll be in the private sector, but based on this, at least $1,600. Oh, but there we go.
Well,
Sorry. No, we have it right here. Knee arthroscopy meniscus repairs at the Don Mill Surgical Unit, 4,037.
Here's a little.
Yay.
Well, this is too good to be true. Tavi just sent this to me. Former Health Minister Christine Elliott registers as lobbyist for
Yes.
private surgery company ClearPoint Health
Ah,
Network.
there it is.
Undermining the public healthcare system with profit takers is
There
the
it is.
Ontario PC party way.
There it is. There it is. There's the link. They created another recycling center for conservative politicians.
Yep.
That's what ClearPoint is. That's why nobody's name appears on the website. I wonder who else is there. Oh,
Take
my
your pick.
freaking.
I'm not surprised. I made a comment about her joining a for-profit lobbyist healthcare thing, but I didn't put two and two together until Tavi sent me that link and we started talking about it this morning. It's like, oh, so there it is.
There it is. Okay.
There it is.
Doug, you're sitting on $22 billion surplus. And you clearly have the money to pay 100 to 300% more for surgeries in a private area than in hospitals. You don't need the federal government's help to remove the carbon tax on home heating. You could do it.
Yeah.
Now, you can't remove the carbon tax because it's a federal program, but you could give people an equivalent rebate as to what it would be. You can cut a check. You clearly have the money, because if you have the luxury of paying more,
I don't
then you've got the
understand
money
this
to help your people. But you don't want to help your people. You'd rather give that additional money to the middleman.
I don't follow this math. It doesn't add up to me. So we're going to pay 4 to 5 times as much for everything. Well, we're going to use the private clinics to help relieve that. We haven't relieved anything. We paid more money.
So we have the LTCs, long-term care centers, that have a whole bunch of people on their boards, and how they got an iron ring around them that they can't be held liable if anything happens to the patients or the residents. We've got this thing going on where we're paying more for surgeries. And then wasn't there some like former conservatives that were, was it Mike Harris? No, Mike Harris he's the nursing homes, right? But some of them are running the nursing temp agencies as well.
That's his wife.
That's his wife with the nursing temp agency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Charging 3 to 4 times more. And now, and the contracts they're hiring the nursing staff on, they start out paying them a lot more, but no benefits.
Yep.
No sick pay, nothing. They have to give them vacation, but because legally you're bound by that. Unless they hire you as a contractor, in which case they don't have to give you shit. Because you can take time off whenever you want, but you don't get paid. It's not a paid vacation as a contractor.
Yeah.
This is how governments avoid paying for benefits, by contracting everything and everyone for every aspect of everything that needs to be done. They don't have to pay any benefits whatsoever. The only thing that gets paid is HST, and you're the one paying it. So if you sign a $100,000 contract, 13% of that disappears. Well, actually, technically it's only 5% because you have to pay the GST, because it's not necessarily the harmonized sales tax, because unless you're claiming provincial, which, and it depends on where your work is being conducted. Because if you're incorporated Canada-wide, it's different than being incorporated in, say, a province where you have HST versus the two separate taxes. It's all very convoluted and complicated, and quite frankly, I'm sick of it. Can we not just simplify all this shit? Let's just simplify it for Canadians. Here's your tax return. How much did you earn last year? Great. Give us the money.
Seriously. Oh my God. All right. Did I recall right, Landsman involved with extended care? You might have something there, Tabby G. I'll have to look into that. But yes, that does sound familiar. That definitely does sound familiar. All right. So while the government of Ontario is blowing our money, did you have anything more to say on that subject, Mr. Grizzly?
Well, I just you've got two things you sent me, but there's something I just wanted to show you very quickly here, which it's rather suspect in what they're saying.
Okay.
So it's a tweet from at Canadian Polling Canada,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just a screenshot of their tweet and a response from Citizens for a Safer Saskatchewan, which is at Sask Safer. I'm going to put it on the screen here. So, Polling Canada, you say no election until 2025, but we're going to get it in 2024, and you best believe it will be nothing but chaos. Citizens for a Safer Saskatchewan responds with, "This is who is telling us PP is going to win and why I don't believe the polls. Paid for propaganda, not bipartisan at all." It is kind of suspect, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well,
Yeah, there's no need for that.
no.
Based on what?
Well, right?
Based on what? What is there out there that says that absolutely we are going to be having an election 2024?
No evidence to suggest that whatsoever.
There's nothing.
None.
Yeah. You're asking about Melissa Landsman. Kit Saucy says the Eager Beaver Investigation Network.
Well, yes.
Well, there's two articles here. There's but this is from 2021 and 2022. There's one in the Maple that called "The Catastrophe Ontario Could Have Avoided," and Melissa Landsman seems it. I searched extended care and Melissa Landsman, and these are the first two that came up. So there might be something in there, but I won't read it online. I will do it myself on my own. And then something a press release from the Ontario NDP on May 20th, 2020. Since the pandemic began, all three big LTC corporations have hired Ford insiders to lobby the government. So, and then it mentions Melissa Landsman here. Melissa Landsman registered April 27th to lobby Doug Ford's office on behalf of Extended Care. Landsman was Ford's campaign spokesperson and war room director in 2018 and currently serves as vice president of the PC Party of Ontario and as a member of the PC 2022 Election Readiness Committee Leaders Advisory Council. This was in 2020, before she was, who she is now. Lauren McDonald, Premier Ford's former Director of Marketing, registered May 7th to lobby the Ontario government on behalf of Rivera. Michael Wilson, former Chief of Staff to the Attorney General in Ford government, registered May 5th to lobby Ford's office on behalf of Rivera. And Leslie Noble, former PC campaign manager and party stalwart, registered March 31st to lobby Ford's office on behalf of Chartwell Retirement Residences. At the time, leader Andrea Horvath, leader of the official opposition New Democrats, was quoted as saying, "What conversations is Doug Ford having behind closed doors as conservative insiders lobby him and his government on behalf of the big three for-profit long-term care providers in Ontario? I'm guessing it's similar conversations that he had with his developer friends. Every dollar that flows to long-term care should be spent on caring for seniors and paying staff properly, not siphoned away for corporate profits and shareholder dividends. It's shocking, quite frankly, to see private long-term care providers pocketing a profit while seniors in their homes are suffering so horribly during the COVID-19 pandemic." And then when came the election, she mentioned not a word of this.
Huh.
Andrea. All right. Shall we move on?
I got to get a coffee. I need another cup of coffee. I know we got to wrap shortly, but I got to get another cup of coffee if I'm going to get through the next 10 minutes. I'll be right back.
Yeah. All right. The other things, there's two other things I wanted to mention, which I hope we will be able to get to in the 10 minutes. But if you remember, a few days ago, I think late last week, we presented the Minister of Global Affairs, Melanie Jolie's address to the Economic Council of Canada, I believe, or Economic Forum of Canada, about our new foreign policy or our evolving foreign policy plank. And we thought it was very well done, very well presented, and all that kind of stuff. Well, a couple of days later, it's not directly related, but with regards to Gaza and Israel, the minister made a statement, and I'm going to take a clip from a newspaper article here. But what she said is, we are all in favor of that. Sorry, I'll try that again. We are all in favor of that one day there will be a ceasefire. That's what President Macron said. But what France has said is that currently we are at the stage of calling for a humanitarian pause because, speaking concretely, we must evacuate Canadians. We have to ensure hostages are freed, and we have to make sure more humanitarian aid gets into Gaza. She said it would also allow a form of détente and so allow, quote, détente and so allow, I hope, even more negotiations at a negotiating table where there are Israelis, Hamas, and Qatar, which is present as a moderator. We're talking about here the negotiating table for negotiating the release of hostages, not negotiating the future of Israel in the region. But Canada has never called for a ceasefire, never set out what it considers the proper conditions that might lead to one, and has never suggested that it would view Hamas as an equal party at any negotiating table. Well, that bit of speaking from Minister Joly got switched into, was commented on by Andrew Coyne. Person. That's the first link I showed you, Mr. Grizzly, if I sent to you, if you want to put it up, where he goes, "Oh, good God, is anyone briefing her? Is she speaking off the top of her head, or is she floating trial balloons for the PM? Détente? Negotiations with Hamas? This is bananas." Only if you miss the point of one day, we are all in favor of that one day there will be a ceasefire. And you forget the word never, but Canada has never called for a ceasefire, never set out what it considers the proper conditions that might lead to one, and has never suggested it would view Hamas as an equal party at any negotiating table.
Well, and what in the hell is Spencer Fernando going on
Well,
about
there
here?
we go. There we go. And then Andrew Coyne then puts, I forgot to add the link. I was so dumbfounded. You could have stopped after dumb.
Yeah.
Andrew. So, and here's where you go. When you ask Spencer Fernando, I'm glad you mentioned that, because Spencer Fernando put out his tweet. Joly is either too stupid to understand that Hamas cannot be left in power in Gaza, or she's pandering to Hamas supporters in Canada. Neither is even remotely acceptable. So it seems that Andrew Coyne is lifting his copy off of Spencer Fernando.
Mm-hmm. And then this sexist comment from Michael Blair.
Exactly. And those types of tweets attract that type of comment. Her real contribution is to look good in heels and provide comfort to the Prime Minister. And we all know what he means by comfort. The Prime Minister is recently divorced.
I mean, so here's what I don't get, right? So let's go back a page here. She's pandering to Hamas supporters in Canada, neither even is remotely acceptable. But she just said right here, Canada has never called for a ceasefire, never set out what it considers the proper conditions that might lead to one, and has never suggested that it would view Hamas as an equal party at a negotiating table. A position the U.S. expressly rejected this week, arguing it would be a propaganda victory for Hamas and legitimize their terrorist tactics. So these guys either can't read or are just obfuscating for clicks. It's like, did you listen to what she said?
They did everything but call her Foreign Affairs Barbie. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think they want to do that because she'd smack the shit out of it.
Hey, they tried it with Catherine McKenna. Climate Barbie.
Catherine McKenna was a little bit more kind than Melanie. I've seen reporters ask stupid, ignorant questions of Madame Joly, and you see the look on her face like, oh, you better get in front of her because she's going to hit somebody.
Yeah.
I love her.
I love her too. So basically, blonde, white, liberal woman commenting about global foreign affairs. Oh my God, she's so stupid. But if you realize in that quote, Minister Joly referred to President Emmanuel Macron of France, who has called for a ceasefire because, well, I mean, the demographics of his country quite a little different. Notice that Andrew Coyne and Spencer Fernando didn't ask who's briefing him. Why is he so dumb?
Well, they
Just
they,
a
it's
woman.
like they ignored the. So he quotes this, right? He shows her quote.
Yep.
He shows
Yep.
it. It's like he completely ignored the third paragraph.
They can't read. They pretend they cannot read English, and because she didn't specify, she didn't say hostage negotiations in that separate second paragraph where she says that Hamas would be at the table. Because
Mhm.
Andrew Coyne and Spencer Fernando, if someone takes hostages, who do you negotiate with? The baker at the corner store at Yonge and Eglinton, or you negotiate with the hostage takers? If you
Yes,
want the
that's
hostages
how it
back,
works.
they are going to be at the table. There are two tables. There are two types of negotiations: negotiations for the hostages, and then whatever negotiations would have after for what the state of Israel or Palestine or what is going to be after this
The
mess
two-state
ends,
solution.
at which Hamas will not be invited.
No.
Like, what is wrong with you people? Why do you pretend to be so stupid that you can't understand basic English when it's very convenient?
I honestly I don't get it. I don't get it. I think it's purposeful obfuscation.
I just, these people. Now, here's the other little interesting thing that happened. Um, remember yesterday we
Mhm.
spoke of Kyle Seaback.
Yes.
Yes. And then we mentioned all his stuff and, oh, he was so pissed off. He had had enough of us attacking the liberal woke people attacking prayer at Remembrance Day ceremonies. He wasn't going to stand for it. And, I said, there's going to be prayer like there always is.
Mhm.
There's always prayer at Remembrance Day. Now, there was a time, yes, where we had a Catholic person and then an Anglican person, and then sometime we brought in a Muslim person, an imam, and then eventually a rabbi.
Mhm.
We could bring in a representative for every single freaking religion under the sun because
Mhm.
everybody served. Or we could say,
Yes.
you know what, that ceremony is going to just take a little too long, and let's just have a
Well,
non-denominational prayer and benediction.
and as you say, everybody served. Trust me, when I was at the Remembrance Day ceremonies at the National War Memorial, I saw Canadian service members in uniform of every color, creed, faith, a snapshot of Canada serving the nation.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't look like me. Most of the service members I saw that day in the crowd, now on parade, I don't know. I couldn't very much see from where I was, but in the crowd, service members that represent Canada, the snapshot that Canada is today in 2023. They didn't all look like me.
Nope. I just saw some pictures today of when I think 15th Regiment of Sikhs in France
Mm.
marching through the streets of France as it was being liberated. So, thanks to Gurdeep Pandher
Mhm.
of the North, right? Um, so, Mr. Well, anyway, Mr. Seaback put that out, and when he did, I put out this tweet. If you will, I put it up, Mr. Grizzly for the kids. Bookmarking this for when there are prayers on Remembrance Day, as there always are, and betting a box of Tim Beebs that when there are, he will claim that the Conservatives made it happen. Now, what's the date on that tweet of mine, Mr. Grizzly?
Let's just scroll down here. November 2nd.
November 2nd. Okay. Now, I'm just going to try and bring it up here. 11 days
I have it on the screen.
later.
I have it on the screen.
You have it?
It's on the screen.
Okay.
It's right there.
What did he do? Please read it.
These fraudsters and grifters are so freaking predictable. Conservatives raising this issue and putting pressure on the Trudeau Liberals forced the original instructions to be changed. I am proud to have been part of that change. Next year, we might have to fight the same fight as woke agendas continue to be pushed by this government. Yeah. Take credit for something you didn't do.
Did I not call it?
Yeah, you did.
Did I not call it 11 days? You know why?
Yeah.
Because this is Harper IDU play number 118.6. Scare the
Yeah.
fucking shit out of people that something is coming to oppress them. That is never really coming. And then
Yeah.
when it doesn't happen, claim that it was your action that prevented it.
Mhm.
It's the flip coin of the NDP, same move, which is
Mhm.
about 2 weeks or 3 weeks before a decision is going to come down.
Take credit.
Start advocating for it. Something that you know is going to happen anyway. And then when it happens, claim you're the one who forced the government.
Look what I did.
It's the same play, just heads
It's
and tails.
pathetic. And it's not being called out. That's the problem. It's not being called out. First, they made a claim that was complete bullshit.
Yep.
And then they make another claim that they came in and miraculously changed everything.
Which is also
The first statement was a bald-faced lie. The second statement was a bigger lie, reinforcing the first lie.
Prayer was never threatened or at risk, ever.
Nope.
Not for a nanosecond. Now,
But they can rage farm off it.
for those 12 days, those 11 days, because a lot of conservatives did that.
Mhm.
How much do you want to bet that there were probably fundraising letters? that went out?
Oh, yeah, guaranteed. Guaranteed.
How much money that people would have perhaps donated to the Royal Canadian Legion instead
Mhm.
went to conservative MPs, got diverted to conservative MPs in order to fight for prayer. So now it's not only that Mr. Seaback and all others like him owe the nation an apology for lying to us, and owe an apology to the government for lying about it, and owe an apology to the Prime Minister for defaming him, and owe an apology to the Canadian Armed Forces for even remotely suggesting that they would be willing to go along
Yeah.
with this. And
Because that was disavowed immediately by the CAF.
yes, the CF and Minister Blair
Yes,
was
immediately.
responsible. And let's see, and all the veterans
Mhm.
and their families, because you decided to take their day and make it
And
about
politicize it.
something else and try to create some scandal. And then all of you who raised that money off that fundraising letter should be writing a letter of apology to the Royal Canadian Legion with a big fat check returning all that money and then some to the Legion.
Mhm.
You stole
Fucking criminals.
from veterans. And you-
Fundraising off of Remembrance Day is the most disgusting thing I can think of a politician can do. I mean, the Legion supports programs for veterans. These scumbags raised money off of a bullshit, bald-faced lie.
You have
Hey,
sullied
Kyle,
today.
Kyle, call the fire department because your fucking pants are on fire, you lying. Ugh. I can't with these fucking people anymore. They just continue to get away with lie after lie after lie after lie, and nobody ever holds them responsible. And people ask me why I'm exasperated all the goddamn time. That's why.
Hmm.
If I lied that much in my daily life, well, if I lost that much money, I would be unemployed, unemployable. I would have no friends. My family would disavow me. Like, how do they continue to get away with this shit?
Yep. So I know that Kit's like me doing some songs. So we talked about Cartman, we talked about Kyle. So it's like, so instead of Kyle's mom, it's going to be Kyle S. Kyle S is a
Yeah,
bitch.
'cause we
He's a
don't
big
know his
fat
mom.
bitch. He's the biggest bitch in the whole wide world. He's a stupid bitch. If ever was a bitch, he's a bitch to all the boys and girls. Kyle S is a bitch.
That's from South Park, for those of you who might not be familiar. That's a South Park song.
Kylis is a bitch. Yes, he's such a dirty bitch. Bitch. Kyle is a bitch. He's just a dirty bitch. Write a check, Kyle, and make an apology video. I think I will take some time today to maybe place a call to Kyle Seaback's office and ask if he would like to come on the show for an interview.
Oh, that could be fun. Let's see if we can get that. Let's see if we can make that happen.
Oh, he won't accept.
I will call him the fuck out.
He won't accept it. Well, maybe
he
he's one of those people who likes to hear his voice so much. And again, what is the deal? Remember when we heard that video yesterday? My first thought was, again, what is it with these guys with the glasses and the high-pitched voices? Spencer, Skippy, this guy, Michael Cooper,
Little tiny
DJ
little
Holmill,
tiny.
Carter Rinson, or whatever. Sam Oosterhoff. What is it? What's the deal? What's the deal with the look
I don't know.
and the sound?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Dude.
I have one more thing to add, and then we got to run
right.
because I got to get to the office. But this is from both Rachel Gilmore and Luc Lebrun. I don't know. Does he go by Luc Lebrun or
Lebrun?
Luc Lebrun?
Maybe
It's
Lebrun.
Lebrun?
I'm
Okay.
not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Lebrun. Anyway, Poilievre's comments have now been denounced and disavowed by 2S LGBTQ plus groups, conservative candidates, dude who was literally standing next to him on the stage. This is a pretty significant news story, and yet it's inexplicably being ignored by Canada's big media outlets. And this is from Rachel Gilmore. We're going to click on Rachel's link here, and I will show you this video. Because
is
I think it's
accusing Pierre
worth watching.
Poilievre of, quote, siding with
Let me just
the
start-
first
start
openly
it over.
trans conservative candidate is accusing Pierre Poilievre of, quote, siding with the hateful. Something the former candidate Hannah Hodson says is, quote, horrifying. In comments she sent to me today, she said, quote, selling out vulnerable minorities for political gain is always wrong and it always ends in pain. What the CPC is doing is hateful and it is evil. Here's what's going on. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is under fire for making a homophobic and transphobic speech last week, where, during a Richmond Hill meet and greet, he accused Justin Trudeau of imposing, quote, radical gender ideology on children. Gender ideology has been a hateful term since its inception. It was used by the Catholic Church in the 90s to push back on women's rights movements. Then it was used to fight gay marriage in Europe. And now it's popular among Christian fundamentalist groups who oppose trans rights. Hannah, who previously felt she had a place in the Conservative Party, told me gender ideology is a code word people use when they don't believe it's okay to be LGBTQ and don't want their kids to think it is either. The rhetoric Poilievre used is so inflammatory that the dude standing next to him, Richmond Hill Deputy Mayor Godwin Chan, faced calls from prominent LGBTQ rights groups to resign. He then issued a statement apologizing for clapping and nodding as Poilievre made the comments, saying he understood this, quote, may have been interpreted as discriminating against the LGBTQ2IA+ community. But the guy who actually made the comments that were so offensive that the guy who was standing next to him faced calls for resignation and had to apologize has doubled down. A spokesperson for Poilievre said, quote, the video stands on its own. That's according to reporting from Press Progress's Luc Lebrun. I have also reached out to Poilievre's team for comment, but have not heard back. Meanwhile, Hannah, who previously wanted to represent the Conservatives, has a warning for moderates within the party. Moderates in the CPC think they can control the hateful, but they are wrong. Anyone who believes people like me are truly evil for wanting to live safely will never be sated. They will always demand more, she told me. She said it's been, quote, tragic and shameful seeing people, quote, stay silent in the wake of this kind of hate. People who once told her they, quote, love and support her. Riling up hateful people in order to raise money is pouring gasoline all over yourself and lighting it to stay warm, Hannah said. It may help briefly, but it will only end in tragedy. What do you think of all this?
Kit PNC and Biohad had it right. That's the comment I made. I was waiting for. May have? The associate mayor, they may have been interpreted. No. It was, not may have, and it was because it was. It was hateful and discriminatory and all that kind of stuff. That's not an apology.
No.
It's not an apology.
We have a really big problem in this country right now, and one aspect of it is and not ignoring everything we just saw there, but one of the big problems we have in this country is that this is not being called out, and that is a problem.
That is a problem. And just so kits are aware, this week started yesterday up until the 19th happens to be Transgender Awareness Week, which culminates on the 20th with the Trans Day of Remembrance.
Yeah. So how was that for timing there, Skippy?
Oh, I think the timing was specifically chosen.
But because the conservatives keep railing on about polls and how the polls are this, and polls show them that they'd win if there was an election tomorrow. Well, there was also an independent poll I saw online, and a new poll shows 97% of Canadians feel Pierre Poilievre should step down as the leader of the opposition. How do you like them apples?
I'm not sure that poll was scientific.
No, that's what I said. It's an independent poll. But if they're going to make up shit, why not?
Oh, man. I tell you.
We got to wrap. I got to get to the office. It's running.
We've got a lot of conservatives behaving badly. Again, I hear that.
Well, they're reformers. They're reformers. They're not conservatives.
I see the calls from the Beaver Party of Canada again. Kids, do not get me in trouble. I am not a guy to run for politics. Way too many skeletons in my closet. Way too many. Oh man! All right, it's like I'm like Mr. Grizzly. Too many people have seen my nethers. Sorry. There is no universe in which, in the realm of politics, I could be considered respectable. Here, I'm very respectable. But yeah, when you move the Overton window to politics, yeah, I'm probably not your most respectable citizen. All right, Mr. Grizzly, do we have a show?
We do. I got to go. Let's wrap quickly.
All right.
I'm late.
Let's do a quick wrap. All right, kids, that's the end of this episode. We hope that you enjoyed listening to us because we love making it for you. Democracy is something that you do. So make sure that you're voting if you're in the Northwest Territories, and make sure to get your XBB shot, your flu shot, and to write your MPs and donate to the Red Cross. If you want to subscribe and make sure you don't miss an episode, you go to our pod page sponsored by the Ray Girl, podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words. If you like to subscribe, and all the other things like share, well, then you make like Kit Lane and go to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page and smash with all our buttons. Our buttons consent, so smash all you want. And if you would like to support us and encourage us to do more, the QR code by Mr. Grizzly's head brings you to the Emergency Hydration Fund here at the Beaver Lodge. And that's our coffee page, ko-fi.com, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, lowercase letters, all in one word. And yes, that's where you can make your donation to help us produce more content for you. And hopefully you will keep enjoying the content that we produce for you. From the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beaver saying it could be a tough world out there, so please be kind to and gentle with yourself. And yesterday was also International Kindness Day, so if you didn't celebrate it yesterday, do something kind today. Mr. Grizzly, some words of wisdom, please.
Actually, yes. Once again, for Canadians who seem to swallow hook, line, and sinker the line that Canada is broken, that Skippy keeps telling us that it's broken and I'm the only one who can fix it. That's a fascist statement. This just released yesterday. Let's see. Quality of life. Beyond the essential ideas of broad access to food, housing, quality education, healthcare, and employment, quality of life also may include intangibles such as job security, political stability, individual freedom, environmental quality. Through all phases of life, these countries are seen as treating their citizens well. Number 1, Sweden. Number 2, Norway. Number 3, Canada. Number 4, Denmark. Number 5, Finland. Number 6, Switzerland. Number 7, the Netherlands. Number 8, Australia. 9, Germany. And 10, New Zealand. All countries with what do they have? And what do the top 5 have, actually? Strong social safety nets, access to proper health care at not-for-profit.
Shocking.
Really, but if it's broken and he's going to fix it, does that mean we're going to have, I don't know, like Sweden and Norway and Denmark quality of life? Because Oh, wait, we only need to overtake Norway and Sweden, and that's not by that much. So, I'll put a link in the chat. We got to go. Here we go, folks. Here's that. I'm going to put the link over here so anybody wants to access that, feel free. I got to get out of here. I've got to go earn some money and pay some bills and do the thing.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver media podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
And a quick little Easter egg for you, if Mr. Grizzly, if you'll put it up, all of you kits who have sent good vibes, right here, there's my name, Douglas Connors, will be playing Mick Jagger, one of the Bohemians, in We Will Rock You. Thank you for your good vibes. They always help.
Very cool.
Yes. Boom, boom, pow.
See ya.
Boom, boom.